So this all started when I met a man in my local area. He was standing outside with a sign in my like local supermarket shopping place, and so I went back inside and I bought some like granola bars, some protein bars, came back and gave them to him. But a few days after that, I felt like I wanted to do more, like I needed to do more to help like people all over like him. And so I came up with some ideas, donation boxes. Thankful enough that my teacher let me keep it in his room for 2 weeks, and just started like talking to people about it, just like sending out Snapchats, sending out like notifications, being like, hey, the box is still there and stuff like that. And by the end of the 2 weeks, the box was completely full. It was overflowing. There was stuff on the sides and all this. And you know, going down and like saying that you're gonna go do something with homeless people, like you kind of know what you're gonna expect, but like you're never really prepared for that, because there was literally people without any feet. Like this one man, he didn't have feet, and what he had was infected. So that was like really heartbreaking to see. And there was a lady that was on the floor that couldn't get up, like she couldn't walk. There was just a lot of things that like I don't think people realize that these people actually go through. And I wanted to kind of talk about, like, since I started talking to my friends about like what I saw on Saturday, or like, you know, what happened on Saturday, a lot of things have been said that like, oh, I don't like homeless people because they're scary. But I feel like that's a really generic thing, because you could not like someone because they're mean to you, but still like everybody else because it's everybody else. It's the same thing with homeless people. You guys put like these names on homeless people and then forget that they're still people. Like they're just people that got into a really bad place in life and then ended up on the streets. But that doesn't mean that they're not people anymore. That doesn't mean that like they don't matter anymore. It was really interesting to see that a lot of the homeless people that we saw wouldn't like acknowledge us. So I had to get in front of this guy because he just ignored me. And I think that's because they're so used to being ignored. Like they're so used to people walking by them and not caring. So I got in front of him and I said, hey, do you want a sack lunch? Because we brought like about 30 of them. We had like 20 blankets. It was crazy. And we're carrying all these like water bottles, all this stuff around. So I got in front of him and I said, hey, do you want a sack lunch? But that happened with more people that like later on you realize, oh, that guy could have been homeless. I mean, what are we doing? Like we're sitting here talking bad about people who need our help, like who need us to care for them and to love them and to be there for them. And it's been a few days because it was a lot to process. It was a lot to handle. You don't really understand like homeless people until you go downtown and you see all these people and they're all like forming alliances together or like becoming brothers or whatever. And it's really sad to see that like they've got no one. They don't have anyone. Like we talked to Larry about like, hey, does anybody ever come down? Does anybody come visit you? Like come see you? Just like random people. And he was like, no, like we don't hear from anyone. Nobody cares about us. And I think that's really sad, because in order for someone to be motivated about something is to have people care for them. How, like, I understand that like this happened to them and like it's really upset and like there's nothing that we can really do about it, but at least we can try to motivate them to like go to different organizations and be like, hey, can like you help us get into housing or stuff like that. Like we can just try to do something. We can be there, we can care for them and point them in the right direction. You know, if you were homeless on the street, you would really want someone to come up to you and be like, hey, I got an idea. All matters aside, this is a really big problem. I mean, there's a race going on and it says over 7,000 people in this area are homeless currently. This is a really big problem. Drive under any bridge in a major city and see a bunch of homeless people, and that's what we did. We went to the bridges and we went under the bridges and we saw these people because that's where it's dry. But I thought it was really interesting because a lot of these people were coming up to us and being like, hey, can you come help this one person? Like, she really needs your help. Like the lady that was on the floor. Larry and Frederick had came up to us and said, hey, can you come help Teresa because she's on the floor and her blanket's wet and she can't move, you know, and she's cold. And so we got a big comforter for her. And it's just crazy to see how like people in such a bad state, in such a bad place in their life, can still be so focused on other people. And so I think that's why like the terms or the adjectives being like homeless people are bad, homeless people are scary, they're not true, because a lot of homeless people are looking out for the people around them. Larry, for example, he's met a bunch of different homeless people that were injured, and he would take them down to the hospital, Grady. He would take them down to the hospital, Grady, and then help them get into the hospital, and then the hospital will take it from there, getting them fixed and getting them into apartments. He's done that with about 3 people, and he was talking about how he was like happy with his life because he's helping other people. He helped those 3 people get it like to where they needed to be. I think a lot of us need to have that same mindset, that we need to help these people get to where they need to be, because if it was us, not only need but want the help. So if you have any questions, any like comments, concerns, anything that you can help me with, any organizations, if you're thinking about doing this, don't do it alone. Bring socks. They really wanted socks and blankets and food, you know. Those are the main things that they want. But if you're thinking about doing this, feel free to contact me on any of my social media. I'll put it up on the screen. But I really want you to think about this. Like, these are people in need of care and support, and we can do that for them. We can change someone's life. Thank you for watching.